How's it going, Minties? The Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, and today I'm going to take an advanced look at two books. The Avengers West Coast Epic Collection, Lost in Space Time, and The Age of Conan Belit, or Belit, or Belit. I don't know. You tell me. So, stay tuned. Now, the first thing I want to do before I start looking at these books is give a thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending me advanced copies so we can look at them together. And here is a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions, up to 50% off cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels is currently offering up to 80% off over 250 Marvel Omnibus editions, Marvel Masterworks, deluxe hardcovers, and more. The sale runs through Sunday, September 15th while supplies last. Some of the deals this week include Captain America by Mark Waid, Ron Garney, and Andy Kubert Omnibus. The retail price is $125, but at 50% off, you'll only pay $62.50. Also on sale is Deadpool & Company Omnibus. The retail price is $125, but at 55% off, you'll be paying $56.25. You can find the sale by clicking on the banner on Cheap Graphic Novels homepage or by clicking the link in the description below. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. So let's look at Age of Conan Belit first. The book is about 116 pages. It contains all 5 issues of the miniseries, and it retails for $15.99, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Parental advisory. That's right, it's a Conan book, so you know there's some parental advisory. But does Conan even show up? Alright, so the first thing I want to say is, oh my god, that cover. Like, I have seen this cover all over the internet. I'm a big fan of Sana Takeda. I loved her stuff in Miss Marvel when it was written by Brian Reed. I love her internal work, and of course Monstrous. So when I saw this, I got excited. Now, Belit is a character that, in the comics for me, because I haven't read the novels, I've only read a few of the novels of Conan, but she was the Queen of the Black Coast, and all I remember from, it was a Dark Horse comic, is that she hooked up with Conan more than once, and she was a pirate queen. Well, I will say, never judge a book by its cover. Because while Sana Takeda does the covers, Kate Nimzik, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing it, does the inside. And, you know, I was a little disappointed because the inside is a lot more cartoony than what I was expecting. And, but, I wanted to read this because Tini Howard was going to be one of the new X-Men writers. She's going to be doing one of the new titles. I want to say it's Excalibur. And I wanted to check out what her writing was like. Well, I will say right off the first issue, I was hooked. So, what you're expecting here is not what you get, or at least for me. I was expecting this hot pirate queen that seduces Conan later on in her years. But no, this is her beginning when she was a kid. And it starts off with her relationship between her and her father, and something sad happens to her father, and then she takes the ship and tries to become a pirate herself. Now, I'm not familiar with the character enough to know that if there's any retcon going on, because like I said, I know that she shows up in the original Marvel comics, and like I said, she's a character from the books, but I'm only familiar with her short appearances in the Dark Horse retelling of Robert E. Howard's books. And nowhere in here, I will say, I don't think this is much of a spoiler, does she run into Conan. And slowly you kind of see what the character that she does become. And I kind of liked it. I was hooked from the first issue. The second and third issue took a little bit of a dip for me. But the fourth and fifth, I'm like, okay, I see where they're going. It's nice to see them trying to find these female characters and put them in the spotlight since they don't have the rights to Red Sonja, for example. Now, let's look here in the back. Okay, so we have variant covers in the back and variant covers throughout the book, too. Both this and Avengers West Coast, oh, I love that Jenny Frison cover, are going to be available on September 18th. I really enjoyed this book, so if you're expecting a kick-ass Conan story, it's not exactly what you're going to get in here, but it's the beginning of this character who will later become actually the cover is kind of a spoiler of what she becomes. The Queen of the Black Coast. And speaking of coast, here is Avengers West Coast, Lost in Space-Time. This is one of my favorite time of Avengers West Coast. It is volume 2 from the years 1986 to 1987. The book retails for $39.99, like all the other epics, and collects West Coast Avengers 8 through 24, Annual 1, and then the crossover event with Avengers Annual 15. Now let's look in here. One of the things I did want to start doing, as I said, with some of the Omnis, is start giving credit to the collection department here that put this book together, because I'm a big fan of epics, and for big epics like this, I think it is just that we give them the credit they deserve. Alright, so this, by the way, is available in between Avengers West Coast Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2. So if you have that, you already have these stories. And they've been available also in trade paperbacks before, but this is the first time it's been available in an epic format. Man, I love this stupid team of Avengers. You have Hawkeye, you have his wife, Mockingbird, Tigra, who really, this is probably my favorite portrayal of that character. I don't think anybody really understood her character. I didn't even like John Byrne's take on her. The Thing, who's outside of the Fantastic Four right now. So, just to name a few characters, and of course Iron Man at first, but yeah, then you get the Master of Pandemonium here, this ridiculous character that plays a bigger role in Scarlet Witch's life. Yeah, let's look a little more through here. This book is right over, and Wonder Man, who's kind of a douchebag in these stories, and you know what? I still love Wonder Man after all these years. And you get them fighting all kinds of original Avengers villains. The Return of Hank Pym, yes. And then he starts developing this relationship with Tigra. This is where it first starts. Graviton. Man, it's just all these characters. Like, the Avengers fought, and it's really cool to see the West Coast fight them. And you may have noticed, this is the crossover annuals right here. All of this, or most of this, is written by Steve Englehart, by the way, and drawn by Al Milgrom. One of the things you may have noticed is that even though it's called Avengers West Coast, the entire book, all the issues that are collected in here are the West Coast Avengers. That's because the title doesn't change until, I want to say, maybe issues 47, 48, when John Byrne took over the book. And here's something really sweet right here. The breakdown artist in this annual is the legendary Steve Ditko. So that's really cool. You get an extra Steve Ditko issue. And here is the end of that crossover event. But you have Mark Bright on pencils here. It's the crossover with the Avengers. So yeah, it was a very tongue-in-cheek team. Even though some events that happen in here are pretty traumatizing, I will say that, pertaining to Bobby. And if you've ever read it, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't read it, but if you've ever read it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, I love this issue when Tiger and Hellcat team up. Yeah, this is a great issue too. Against Tiger Shark. And just a little bit more of the art. So you can see the restoration. It's what you're used to from these epics. The paper quality is what the recent epics have been for a while now. And then the time travel begins where they all get stuck in different points in time. And let's look at the back here because I don't want to spoil the story in case you haven't read it. And here's some extras with promotional artwork and bonus pinups, unfinished pages, uncolored pages. I love when they throw that in there. And then the covers to the omnibuses. This one is done by Greg Land, and this one over here is done by Carlos Pacheco. That's who drew it. And then West Coast Avengers. These are the Marvel Premiere hardcovers. Oh yeah, Moon Knight joins. How could you not want to know why Moon Knight joins this team? And here's a Premiere hardcover to the back of one. And that was the content of each book. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, because that Marvel sale ends this Sunday. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. And remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.